We are back with more adventures of the Florida Powerboat Club. Stu Jones along with producer Ryan McCoy in the Pompano Beach studio, and we are truly seeking an adventure on this event. That's because it's the annual Bahamas Poker Run. 32 years, guys, since this event started way back in 1992, and we have got a fleet of 17 boats heading off to Bimini, Chub Key, NASA, and beyond for this 7-day adventure. So before we get started, let's thank our sponsors. Our presenting sponsor for the FPC 2023 series of events is Mercury Racing, celebrating 50 years of wide open. And by these sponsors, in alphabetical order, Big Thunder Marine, Blackwater Boats, Cigarette Racing Team, Concept Boats, Deep Impact Custom Boats, Fountain Power Boats, Midnight Express Boats, Nortec High Performance Boats, Performance Boat Center, Plantation Boat Mart, SD Marine Group Isla Morada, and by Statement Marine. Okay, getting started here on Bahamas Poker Run. 32nd year, guys. It's 32 years running. It's the longest Florida Powerboat Club event. A nice day shaping up here, 7:15 on a Wednesday morning. Why Wednesday? Well, because you'll figure it out as we go. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in Bimini, best time to be there before the crowd comes over for the weekend. But 17 boats registered today. We're going to ride with Simon and Dee on this brand new Fountain 38 SCX. It's got the brand new Mercury mainline V10s. So we're excited to see how this boat performs. But otherwise, it's going to be an uneventful trip from what I can see looking forward, because we've got light winds, virtually no winds actually, and calm seas. It's going to be like a lake out there. And I think everyone's happy about that for sure, as we now set out. Starting early as we always do, so we can get a jump on the seas. No seas to contend with, but helicopter's going to be joining us shortly, and it's going to be an exciting ride over. A lot of new boats on the run, a lot of first timers on the run, and a pretty eclectic mix of boats and people now from all over the United States joining us, and a couple Canadians too. Here as we kick off Bahamas Poker Run, 32nd year here for our summer 2023 adventure. And all the while we are getting prepared for the takeoff in Port Everglades, we've got a helicopter getting ready to be fired up just about 8 miles further to the north at the Pompano Air Park. Going to be flying in this R44, our usual platform with the 2 left doors off, and we're going to have Jerry shooting stills and Joe from Skyview shooting video. We've got the chopper for about 90 minutes, and that should be all we really need to get a good coverage of all of the boats. And just look at these conditions, guys. Nice shot of the Pier 66 resort being redone as we speak. I think it's going to be open in 2025. So it appears that the helicopter got here a little bit earlier than normal. I think we got a later start off the dock. We were just not in a huge hurry this morning because the weather is so nice and conditions are ideal. But just getting everybody in the boats and off the dock can be sometimes quite an exercise, because most of our events do not have such an early departure. But because we're going to the Bahamas, the idea is that we get an early launch around 7 a.m. from Bahia Mar. It's about a 10 or 15 minute idle to Port Everglades, and we're basically hitting the inlet at about 7:30 a.m. And the reason for that is to enjoy the ride across and get the best possible sea conditions, because once daybreak hits, I think the sun came up at 7:05. And soon after daybreak, that's when the conditions will start to pick up. The winds will slightly pick up, and the conditions in the Gulfstream can change quite dramatically in a matter of, say, 20 or 25 miles. We only have a 56-mile crossing today from Port Everglades to Bimini, so it's going to be a relatively short ride, especially with most of us cruising at speeds in around 55 to 60 miles per hour. And we've got a lot of great shots of the various boats as we putt out here to Port Everglades. There's our first glimpse of the helicopter, who's already been with us for well over 5 minutes and getting some great coverage of the start of the event. And as always, we like to just kind of mill around here in Port Everglades. The official pace boat, of course, is that Fountain 38 SCX, sponsored by CORTEZ COVE Marina, Simon Williams at the helm. And that's going to be the lead boat as we take off. And once again, we're not going to take a straight heading to Bimini. And the reason for that is the limitations on the helicopter to be able to fly offshore. And most of those are related to FAA and also to the helicopter operator. Remember, it's a Robinson R44 piston helicopter. It does have actuated floats if we need them, but for safety reasons, they don't let the helicopter get more than about 10 miles offshore. So once again, we're going to follow the practice of driving down the coastline from Port Everglades to Miami, which is altogether about just over 25 miles. Then we're going to make a turn when we get to Government Cut and take a heading for Bimini. At that point, it's going to be a 49-mile straight shot across the Gulfstream to Bimini. And by now, you've seen pretty much most of the 17 boats registered, and quite a nice mix of boats. Strong showing from Nortec. I think we have 3 or 4 Nortec 39s registered. In addition to that, we've got a Sunseeker, a Scout, a Wright Performance Cat, a Freeman, two Adrenalines, new 47 Reapers. There's the 420 Cat right there, the Wright Performance, as well as a 40 Mystic, a 39 Deep Impact, a 40 Sensation, and a 38 Fountain Lightning with stern drive power, and they came all the way from Kansas to join us. And as we now prepare for the start, let me remind everybody that the previous evening we all stayed at the Bahia Mar Resort in Fort Lauderdale. That gave us a chance to get together for a captain's meeting. We went through all the procedures of getting ready to clear customs in the Bahamas, and that's, of course, the new click-to-clear process, which is an online portal which you can register for and pay your fees. And it does make things go much more smoothly on the other end when we arrive in Bimini later this morning. And here's our start in Port Everglades, right on schedule, again, leaving sometime close to 7:30 a.m. Going to give us about 90 minutes, really, to get to Bimini, especially with our detour going down the coastal waters down to Miami before we turn and go offshore. I'm not going to maintain any big cruise speeds today. Again, we're riding on this 38-foot Fountain SCX, capable of speeds well over 80 miles per hour, Simon tells me. But remember, we are the pace boat for a group of a total of 17 boats, and not everybody's going to be wanting to go too fast. So I think that for the Bahamas events, we really like that 55 mile per hour cruising speed. And remember, we do have the helicopter with us right now, so some of the teams are going to want to push the throttles and go just a little bit faster to get some nice pictures. But for the most part, we're just going to try to stay close to those kind of cruising speeds because that's going to keep the group together. And really, that's our goal for when we run over to the Bahamas, especially crossing the Gulfstream. We don't want to have too much separation of all the boats. And riding along today, that's my wife Jackie, as well as my 2 sons Tyler and Maxwell. So it's going to be a family boating adventure for the Joneses. So let's start things off with our team introductions. Starting off with Brandon Mayer, Team Sweetwater Landing came over from the Fort Myers area. This is a 40-foot Mystic carbon fiber Cat, Paramercury Racing 450Rs, 2022 model. So it's actually his second 40-foot Mystic Cat. Says he really enjoys it. Riding on board today is Brandon's first mate Skylar, as well as another couple, Dylan and Matija. I hope I didn't butcher your name, dear. But you can see he's got the boat dialed in nicely, and just great conditions here as we kick things off here, running down towards Miami. And you're going to love these new 47-foot Adrenaline Reapers, they're called. This is Anthony Sasso with his wife, Jamie, and they are one of two 47 Adrenalines. Here's Mike Layton and first mate Robin. They've got the family aboard as well. And, of course, Mike is from the Adrenaline Factory, and this is his demo boat. First time now taking it to the Bahamas. Probably the biggest trip that they've done on this new 47 Reaper. There's not very many of these out, maybe 3 or 4 so far. But we really got a chance to see how this boat performs. 5 Mercury Racing 450Rs, and really a family affair. They've got their son-in-law Caleb, Madison, Ellie, and Ava riding along today. So a nice family adventure for the Laytons, who came all the way from Georgia to join us. So nice to see them getting out for a family boating adventure. And here's a team we've seen a lot of. This is James and Sonia Redding, another team from Georgia with La Mexicana, Deep Impact 399, Quad Mercury Racing 450Rs, and they've got some other FPC members riding along today, Shane and Vicky Franks from Michigan, as well as Brett and Allie Lasso from South Carolina. And we do have another Deep Impact sister ship riding along, another Deep Impact 399. We'll get a chance to catch up with Eddie and Emma just a little later. And it's 2 years in a row for Daniel Dickert and his friends on this 42-foot Freeman. Daniel and his wife Lana, but this isn't their boat. They have a Nortec, but Joey and Sonia Anderson, as well as Justin and Priscilla Jones, and Captain Chris here at the helm, are a team that they got together with last year to do this run in this same Freeman, and they said they had such a great time they came back again. Check out the Power Guys Quad Mercury Racing 450Rs. This is a fantastic Bahamas cruising machine. And here's that other Deep Impact we told you about, Eddie Collier, first mate Emma. They're joined by John and Michelle Lanus, as well as Michael Crane. So the 5 of them are going to have a nice ride on this Deep Impact 399, and of course another Quad Mercury 450R package. And what a great cruising machine for heading to the Bahamas. And here's a Wright Performance 420, the Bryant family, Doug Bryant at the helm, and first mate Treva, his wife. And I really like this common thread that we're seeing on this event, with a lot of families getting together for this Bahamas adventure. Interestingly, they're from Nashville, Tennessee, but they keep the boat and do most of their boating in the Thousand Islands area, where they do the poker run up there. Of course, we saw them this past summer when we visited. Got the entire family on board: Whitney, Molly, Nellie, and Christian, their son, all enjoying this ride today. And they said that in their event highlights, it was really a once-in-a-lifetime trip for the entire family, and they decided to stay a little longer. They went 4 more days and went up to the Abacos by themselves after everybody came back. So that really turned out to be a great adventure for them. Well, I mentioned earlier there's a lot of Nortecs on this run, so let's kick it off with Roger and Pam Anderson and their Nortec 390 Sport. This one's powered by Quad Mercury Racing 450Rs, guys. It doesn't get much better than that. This is their second Nortec 39. They actually kept their first one, and it stays back at home in Texas, but I don't think they go to Texas very often because it's June now. We're into our 6th event of the season, and I think they've done every single event since January. Amazing record of attendance. Oh, there's the money shot, guys, up nice and high, looking across to the east now. You can see the sun kind of behind the clouds on the horizon. Remember, we're still headed south towards Miami. We kind of got our money shot, right out of the box, and we often stop and stage this shot, but we kind of got it really already here, heading south, and everyone is spaced out nicely and keeping their lanes, and I just love these kind of images. Now we're catching up with Joe and Jen Grulich, another Nortec 390 Sport, this one powered by Triple Mercury Racing 450Rs, and just got a light load on board today, just the 2 of them. They tend to do their boating just as a couple, which is great. They're about 1,200 miles from home, which is Akron, Ohio. Well, you can tell now that we've just hit the reset button. We stopped everybody just off of South Beach. That's Miami Beach off on the distance. And we turned everyone to the east now with our heading on Bimini and did a restart. And this is a program that has worked out quite well for us now because we've already got a lot of good helicopter time flying south from Fort Lauderdale. So now our pilot can stay with us for about another 15, 20 minutes and still stay within the parameters of his flight. But looking down on the entire group, everybody looking fabulous and maintaining their lane as they head off eastbound. And now catching up with Mike and Olivia Lopez on this brand new MTI 42. And check it out, guys, 5 Mercury Racing 450Rs. And look real closely, guys. You can see different engine cowling covers to pick up the graphics on the boat. What a great looking ride. And it's one more time with the Andersons on Wild Horses, 39 Nortec. Looks like Roger's got the trim out just a little now, throwing a pretty decent rooster tail off the back of those Mercury Racing 450Rs. And another angle of this Deep Impact 399, Eddie Collier at the helm, and seems to be really enjoying this Deep Impact 399 Open Quad Mercury Racing 450. So took delivery of the boat a couple of years earlier. I think it was at the Emerald Coast Poker Run. So it's done a lot of poker runs ever since. Same thing with the Reddings. You know, they really got active with Florida Powerboat Club after their first Deep Impact 399. Now they're on hole number 2. It's their second one. They've had this one for well over a year, and they really seem to be loving the boat. Oh, and finally, a little love from the helicopter on our pace boat. Simon Williams at the helm of this brand new Fountain 38 SCX model. Triple Mercury mainline 400 V10s, and a lot of accessories on the boat, mostly speakers and a big audio system. But one thing that this boat doesn't have, guys, is rod holders. The 38 SCX is all about poker runs. And I can't help but notice that this helicopter footage we're getting is so amazing. It really showcases these new models. Mike Layton putting this 47 Reaper through the paces. Remember, he's got 5 Mercury Racing 450Rs, a step bottom, a carbon fiber laid up boat, a really, really good performing boat. I've been on one of these earlier, actually. Very fast and great styling. It really is a nice looking boat. And it's one more time with Joe and Jen Grulich on their Nortec 390 Sport. I like the name of the boat, Endless Summer. I think that's an appropriate name for, heading out to the Bahamas for several days. This Nortec's been in Fort Lauderdale for the winter season, but after this event, they're going to trailer it home to Akron, Ohio. And nice to see Dominic and Christy Biscaglia back joining us with this 38-foot Scout, and this is just a wave-crushing machine. They joined us for the Spring Key West run back in March, though took a little time off, and back again with us in June, heading out for this adventure to the Bahamas. And it's a first time for this family adventure. Mike and Carlene Leardy, joined by their kids, Mike Jr. and Abby. And again, another family doing an adventure together in this 38-foot Fountain. Got Mercury Racing 525s. A lot of firsts on this event for them. First time in the ocean, first time going to the Bahamas, and it's their very first FPC event. And keeping that Nortec representation strong is Ivan Lopez, his wife Kyle. And they made it a family affair also with Tristan and Ivana riding along. They also have another couple named Lana and Jacob that came with them. So they're making good use of that Nortec 39 and its big open cockpit and that second double row seating. Big power on this 39 Quad Mercury Racing 450Rs. And in addition to Ivan's crew, I want to welcome Nortec's Jeff Tomlinson, who brought his daughter for a little daddy-daughter getaway. They're riding on board with Ivan today. And now we'll spend a little more time with this other new 47 Adrenaline Reaper, Anthony Sasso, his wife Jamie, with their little girl Ella, and they've been joined by their friends Amy and William Smith and their little girl Zephyr. So this is going to be a great family getaway for the two families. So this will be their first event for the new boat and probably a great shakedown run. Well, I can't see the speedo, but I'm pretty sure that once the helicopter got everybody all excited, they pushed the throttles forward, and I think our 55 was a thing of the past. Most of us running now well into the 60s as we cross the Gulfstream and say goodbye to Miami. I think we're a good ways offshore because I don't see any skyscrapers on the horizon. And it's one more time with our Fountain 38 SCX pace boat. Simon Williams at the helm, and of course Cortez Cove, new dealer for Fountain. They're based in Bradenton, Florida. They've got a full-service boatyard there, and also Simon has Shore Thing, which is a giant boat and RV storage facility located just a few miles away from Cortez Cove. So thanks to Simon and Dee for letting the Jones family ride aboard. One more time with Mike and Olivia Lopez. They are from Chicago, but they've got a home over in the Bradenton area along the Manatee River, and that's where they're going to keep this 42 MTI on a boat lift so they can go boating all over the west coast of Florida. And here's a great wide angle from inside the cockpit of our R-44 helicopter from Florida, coast-to-coast helicopters. And I'm guessing the pilot is looking at his GPS and saying, we got to get home soon, guys. We're getting way out here. And catching up now with Jason and Shauna Tolliver in this Sensation 40 CCX. It's got triple Mercury Racing 450Rs, and a boat that they're very familiar with. They've had several in the past, but they just picked this one up recently. They seem to love the Bahamas because they've done this event a number of times in the past. Well, guys, that was some great aerial coverage from the helicopter crossing the Gulfstream, but sooner or later, here we are in Bimini. There's a great shot of us rolling into Bimini Harbor on board the Fountain 38 SCX. Jackie's happy to be there. She's got her phone out taking pictures. And thanks to Simon and Dee for a great ride over to Bimini. We're going to get up to the Big Game Club now, where we're going to clear customs and get all the boats settled in for the next couple of hours. Remember, we've got a full day ahead of us, so it's still early in the day. Not really a big hurry to get up to Resorts World Bimini Hilton because it's still another few miles up on the north side of the island, and just not a rush to get there because, you know, most of our activities today are on the water activities at some of the local attractions, including the Sapona and Honeymoon Harbors. So that's our plan for the day. A couple of hours here at the Big Game Club. You can see it's not very busy here. This is why we like to use the Big Game Club for clearing customs, because the Bahamas Customs Office is right on the property and the immigration office is just a few steps up the road. Altogether, even with click to clear, it still takes about an hour or more to get cleared. With a big group, it could take a little longer. But it's important to be prepared to have all of your paperwork and your passports ready. And remember that while the captain goes to customs to clear it, everybody must remain on the boat. And that's part of the rules, guys. And if there's ever a customs boarding and people are not on the boat, you could get in trouble. But, for the most part, we haven't had any issues in the past. And nice to have some nice aerial coverage. Tyler Jones using the family DJI Mini drone and getting some great stuff. He's actually practiced up quite a bit. And we don't really have these shots in previous episodes, but nice to see really the big picture here at Big Game Club. It's a beautiful property with a lot of docking. And there were days in the past where you couldn't even get in here. They sometimes would have fishing tournaments here where you couldn't get a slip. So now it seems to be just nice and casual. We can hang out here. There is a restaurant. It does take a little while to get breakfast or lunch. So if you do get situated, be ready to sit down for about 90 minutes or maybe a couple of hours. It's going to take you that long to dine. But nobody's in a hurry today. As long as we get back on the water by about 12 noon, we got plenty of time to enjoy the day. And it goes without saying that it's nice to take care of your dock master when you pull in here. And a lot of times they'll come out to greet you and tie you up and give you some immigration cards. But the yellow quarantine flag should be flown when you arrive here at the Big Game Club. And then upon clearing customs, you can take that flag down and put up your Bahamas courtesy flag. And that can stay up pretty much throughout the entire weekend. Well, with everybody clear and back on the water shortly after 12 noon, we headed southbound towards the Sapona shipwreck. I wanted to show everybody where it was. That wasn't on our agenda for today, but I wanted to show everybody at least where it is and to mark it in their GPS. But our destination today is about 5 miles further to the south, and that's Honeymoon Harbor, where there's a nice sandy beach. We're going to pull in there, and that's where we're going to have a controlled stingray feed, and here we are. And this is why you want to come to Honeymoon Harbor on a weekday. Remember now, it is a Wednesday, and this place is swarmed on a weekend. We pretty much own it today. All this entire nice long sandy stretch of beach, and everybody got nestled in here. You can see just how beautiful it is. Guys, this is paradise. And there's our little friends, all those stingrays who are enjoying the feeding that we set up for everybody. But just look at the row of beautiful boats all pulled in. And remember, this is only our first day. You know, we're in the early afternoon now, and everyone has had a nice ride across the Gulfstream. They cleared customs, had lunch, and for the rest of the afternoon, this is just paradise for us to enjoy. The controlled feeding is important. Learning how to feed the stingrays and doing it properly is important, because you can do it the wrong way and it won't work out too well for you. Some people are afraid of them, but they are very docile creatures. But the part that gets scary is when they swarm. And there's no need to be afraid, but the important thing is to be planted in the sand and let them move around you. Don't try to move around them, and certainly don't stand. I think what happens is if people stand, they get afraid and they start dancing around or trying to run out, and they'll end up stepping on a stingray and could possibly get a sting. We don't want that to happen. So the food is, the bait that I pick up is, I get it at the Big Game Club. It's just frozen squid. We get it in 5-pound blocks. And you get a sharp knife, you open it up and get a chopping block or a board, or cutting board, and chop it up into small pieces. And then give everyone a little cup, a plastic cup with about 10 or 15 chunks of squid in the bottom, and they can just hand feed. So it really is an easy process, and the stingrays will just come up, as you see here, very casually, and you put your hand out and they'll just suck it right up out of your hand. Sometimes you'll get a little nibble or a little bite, but they don't really have teeth. So you won't be cut or bleeding, but they have been known to give you little hickeys on your thighs or your butts. And trust me, I've seen it, and it's pretty funny when it happens. So we made sure that we had enough bait that everybody got a chance to feed the stingrays. And some people were, again, a little afraid at first, but once they got past that fear, they kept coming back and saying, "Stu, can I have more bait? Can I have more bait?" And that's what I want to see. And it never gets old for me. Look, I'm having the time of my life. I've been doing this for 20 years, and it never gets old for me. I could sit in the water here for an hour and feed these little guys. It's so much fun. And in the handful of video bios that we got back from some of our attendees, I think most people said that this was surely one of the highlights of their trip. And while everybody else was having fun, we were shooting a new segment for the Fountain website, displaying this new shower feature on the Fountain 38 SCX. Good job, Simon. Well, guys, we have just had a fantastic day of boating with the Florida Powerboat Club here in Bimini. And, you know, it's only our first day of a 7-day event, but Well, we hit the half-hour mark, so we're going to have to close it off for now, guys. The good news is we've got an entire episode 2 with complete coverage as we continue the adventure from Bimini on to Chub Key, Nassau, and beyond. So stay with us for the next episode, and you guys know what to do. Click that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you'll get an update every time a new episode is released. Be sure to check out the website at flpowerboat.com for all of the details about upcoming Poker Run events in 2021, as well as membership information. You can follow us on Facebook at Florida Powerboat Club, and you can follow us on Twitter and on these Instagram pages. Thanks to all of our viewers for your wonderful comments on our page, and you guys know who you are, and I really do appreciate that. But if you have questions or comments you want to direct to me specifically, please use my personal email at stu@flpowerboat.com. I check that daily, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. We're going to sign off for now. This is Stu Jones along with our producer Ryan McCoy in the Pompano Beach studio. Have fun out there, guys. Be safe on the waterways. Wear your life jackets when the time is right, and always respect your fellow boaters. Bye for now.